Smith Chokwemi Akede joins us now as we take a look at all the things happening in your fast-paced, amazing world of sports. Chokwemi, thanks for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you, Yemi. Good to be back. It's a big weekend, no doubt about that. I'm a big enthusiast of Formula One, and I'm looking forward to the Australia Grand Prix on Sunday. Let's see Lewis Hamilton. I mean, this is the first time in about 8 years I've seen him driving for a non-Mercedes car. So let's see how it goes. Of course, the Carabao Cup is here.
But we start with something different. I don't know if you remember, during the bidding process and everything, the current US President, Donald Trump, said he was going to be around. So when he said it then, I was wondering how he was going to be around. Stroke of fate, loses the election, then comes back again, wins the election, so he's going to be around. So we're talking about one of the stadiums that will be used for the 2026 World Cup. If you remember 1994, a lot of venues were converted. You're seeing football pitches that were previously used for American football, that were used for all kinds of sports. There were markings on, some of those pitches. But now you're seeing facilities tailor-made for football. A lot has changed in between USA 94 and this one that you're going to have USA, Mexico, and Canada.
It's a big deal. And so if Donald Trump told you he was going to be around during the World Cup, it was probably because he knew he was going to win if he comes back for his election. Yeah. He's a very interesting personality. And I think if you look at the romance or the bromance between him and Gianni Infantino, you will see that FIFA needs... There's a lot about the success of that World Cup that is hanged around the cooperation of Donald Trump. You understand what I mean? Donald Trump is probably someone that, if this is going to work, it's going to make it work. And then, I mean, you are saying USA 94. That's over 21 years ago. Times have changed. Now, our countries can hold World Cup with new stadium in every single city. If America wants to use all of the states in the US to host the World Cup, they can afford to build 10
The one we have on
stadiums.
Screen is in Inglewood, California. It's a new pitch that the players are going to be they're going to use. It's a 70,000 seater stadium. Like I said, currently hosts NFL football games, matches, but this time it's going to be used for 8 matches during, and by the time you listen to what some of the stakeholders will say, there's a shift from what transpired back then to what it is the Sophie Stadium. There are a lot of tests going on, but what we're trying to emphasize is the fact that there is more concentration, more attention, more focus on it being a football event and everything that football needs.
Because soccer had not really been one of the most popular sports in the US, and that is why they are putting a lot of effort into establishing the MLS as a franchise. That's why teams don't even relegate in the MLS. So I think it used to be football, rugby, the one they call, and then basketball. So I think soccer is gradually gaining that balance with the influx of big superstars from Europe into it. At some point, they used to call it the retirement home of big, but now we've got young players coming through the ranks, and I think America they want to use this World Cup to tell the entire world that we're not just about basketball, we're not just about swimming, we're not just about volleyball, we're not just about, football. Soccer has a space here, and that's exactly what they're going to sell with the World Cup.
All right. Let me yield to Austin. It's probably going to make us listen to all these guys, but trust the United States. When they say they're ready, they're ready.
That's it, Yemi, and this is what we always talk about. And, I'm so big on infrastructure. That's the only way you can show the world that, you can keep up to standards. Let's take this stadium, for instance, the Sophie Stadium in Inglewood. They rolled out a plan of how they're going to renovate the stadium before the World Cup comes. This is the second phase of that renovation process. Now, this second phase, they took out the artificial turf because FIFA World Cup is played on grass. So they've installed the new grass, and they played a bit of, football to test it. The CONCACAF Nations League Cup will commence next week. They're going to have it here. And then next year, they're going to have another test again just before the World Cup comes. And they're just trying to say, look, we're ready. If it's infrastructure, it's never going to be a problem with the United States of America. And you can see brand new playing surface, looks good. You mentioned it, that this venue will host 8 games at the World Cup next year. And look, they are ready. Let's listen to them. We'll come back. We'll put some more perspective into the conversation.
But soccer was not a big sport within the United States in the 90s, so there were times where the pitches were had football, American football lines on it, that we're playing on. You had times where the pitch wasn't very good, or maybe the grass was laid down and it didn't come together enough, so there were seams. That's changed. Here, I don't see seams. This is perfect. This is what you want situation. I never had the opportunity to play on the hybrid. It was just grass, for me. So, but from what I can see here today, this is amazing. Now, 32 plus years later, I expect in another year we're going to see fans very knowledgeable about the game, knowledgeable about the World Cup, knowledgeable about every team and even player on the individual teams.
That roof structure is actually taking 35+% of the sun's direct light out of the building. So when you're trying to grow grass without having that direct sunlight, that becomes a challenge. Also, being that we are sitting on a concrete surface and we are a synthetic stadium for NFL football, building a grass pitch surface that has irrigation, that has sub-air systems and ventilation, that has the appropriate light, this is really a location where you say that may not be possible. And we've taken the opportunity to say we turn the impossible into possible.
That's the facility manager, also Benedict. And I always talk about this thing. There's no shame. Let's learn from the people who are doing the right things, and then hopefully we also do the right things. It's not about installing grass. The man went on to say, look, we know it requires sunlight also to keep the grass in good shape, and we've also provided that. This is top-notch planning.
Well, it's a World Cup. It's the biggest showpiece when it comes to football. And then that for America, that's the standard. Everyone is expecting that if it is the U.S. that is hosting, it has to be a world-class standard. And U.S. always does its things with this aura of we're at the top. We can do it better than anybody else. So, and besides, this is a long-term investment because if we're done with the World Cup, it's a facility that can be remodeled to accommodate other sports. It could be used for events, it could be used for concerts, it could be used for other games. And that's how world-class stadium, when they say, let's build a sport facility, it's not just a football pitch like we have all over Nigeria here. It's something that is, how do I put it now, is flexible. You can adjust it for whatever situation you want to use it for. I mean, I was watching this particular video this afternoon, and I just kept telling myself, what happens to the MKO Stadium? That was supposed to be one of the biggest stadiums in Africa when it was, when it was built. What happens to the Nest of Champions? I was in Akwa Ibom in March last year, and I was privileged to go into the arena. I knew what it was like when they commissioned that place, and I know what that place is right now, Yemi. Our problem most time is maintenance culture, and it's a big problem.
It's a big rabbit hole, and I don't want to go to that rabbit hole this night. So let's move on, but hopefully we'll learn. I'm going to go across in a few seconds. Let's talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League. We'll start with the game played today and the games to be played over the weekend. We'll quickly talk about it. We have a lot of ground to cover. We'll do our best to get there. So let's just quickly go across and, of course, talk about matches to be played. All right, Saturday's fixtures, Rangers International up against Kwara United. That's a lone game to be played on Saturday. Well, other matches on Sunday. A lot of matches we played on Sunday. Academy Warriors up against Rivers United. Kano Pillars up against Nasarawa United. Abia Warriors will take on Bendel Insurance. Aqua United, the Promise Keepers, up against Shooting Stars. Bayelsa United up against Lobby Stars. Ikorodu City up against the Imba. Rainbow Stars up against the Naza Millionaires, talking about Heartland. So these are the games to be played on Sunday. And of course, a game was played today, Niger Tornadoes and Casino United. We'll talk about all of that as we go on. Austin, let's just quickly take a look at this, even though we have a lot of ground to cover. In a minute or two, some are already saying, let's just give this thing to Rainbow Stars. I don't know if you agree.
No, I don't agree. Right after match day 28, with what we saw, Bedell Insurance pushed them all the way, got the results. Point has now been reduced to 8 points. Rivers United can believe. Ikorodu City can believe. Rangers can still believe. Even Shooting Stars that has been winless in their last 6 matches can still say, look, we can still get something out of this league. This is football. It's not over until it is over. We're getting into match day 29 now, and if you take a look at the way the table is changing, you can tell that even till 3 more matches to go, unless Remo Stars win, Remo Stars going to win their remaining games, and then the other teams I've just mentioned now don't get to win. See, for instance, Niger Tornadoes, Katsina United, the game was played today. Tornadoes really needed to win because they lost their last game to Rivers United. Tornadoes, they've been really impressive, and they dug deep and they won. I think that's the first time they're winning in their last 5 meetings against Katsina United. So you see, now teams have seen the table. They've seen that we're approaching the end. They need to start getting all of the points, particularly if you're playing from home. So Tornadoes now moved to 10th on the log. I think they were 11 after match day 28. If you take a look at match day 29 now, you cannot afford to blink. Particularly with Remo Stars, they cannot put themselves under any form of pressure. Heartland played 1-1 in their last game. You can easily come out now with analysis and say, oh, with current form, Remo can beat Heartland. But no, football doesn't work that way. What happened in Benin might actually affect them psychologically unless they really put it behind them and get to, do something. And I think they have the quality to beat Heartland, but haven't we seen stranger things, particularly if you take a look at the fixture that will be between Rangers and Kwara United. I watched Kwara United dismantle Kano Pillars. Now they're going to Rangers, and they just need to go and check the teams that have gone there to win. Kano Pillars won in Enugu. Shooting Stars won in Enugu. Niger Tornadoes won in Enugu. Aqua United went there on match day 28 and picked 1 point. That's enough to motivate Kwara United, who were fantastic against Kano Pillars in their last game in Ilorin. So no, I cannot say we give it to Remo Stars now, because let's say the worst that happens to Remo, they draw points against Heartland, Rivers United go on to win, Ikorodu City go on to win, and even Rangers and Shooting Stars. Then you know the rest here,
I do. In a minute, because, it's only fair I allow you to say something. The real issue is, some of you saying, even when Remo Stars get to slip up, the guys you expect to take advantage seldom do.
I think I'm worried about Shooting Stars. They've not won a game in the last 6 matches. They were the one really pushing Remo Stars neck to neck at some point in the season. But when Remo Stars built that gap, I think it affected Shooting Stars' morale, and they just laid back like, you know what? Let's just see how much we can get from this season. But other teams now are looking at the fact that Remo still doesn't want to, it seems they don't want to take the initiative to go ahead of everybody. At some point, they were 12 points above Shooting Stars. Now it's 8 points. And then other teams are also picking points. But I'm really looking forward to the game of the young boys and the veterans. I'm talking about Ikorodu City versus Eyimba. It's going to be a very tricky game, Yemi.
All right. It will be a very tricky game. We said it at the start of the game, at the start of the show. So let's just quickly go there now. We'll travel abroad now. Go to England. The EFL Cup, the final is upon us. It's this weekend, and it will be between Liverpool and Newcastle United. And this means a lot to both teams. You could say Newcastle, it means a lot to Liverpool, especially now that they are out of the UEFA Champions League. But what do you think, in a minute, if you can do that for me quickly, what do you think will happen in this one? And if Newcastle wins, should we say it's an upset?
I don't know, because every Liverpool fan will tell you that they didn't even see themselves competing for anything this season.
When
Jurgen Klopp left, and Slot came in, and he has slotted in effortlessly. He almost didn't bring in any player except the guy he went to pick from Juventus that's not even getting into the squad, Federico Chiesa. But look at them, 15 points ahead of Arsenal in the Premier League. They got knocked out by Plymouth in the FA Cup. They lost to PSG via penalty in the Champions League. They know that, at least let's just hold on to this one first, which is the EFL Cup. Let's get it done with Newcastle.
And they'll
be missing a couple of key players also, that's Newcastle. But Liverpool will also be missing Trent Alexander-Arnold. world. And the question is this, who wants it the most? It's a neutral ground. They've had decent results against each other. This is, remember, Newcastle's 3-0 draw at the St. James's Park against Liverpool in the league. So it's a matter of Newcastle have not won any trophy in over 50 years. They also want to hold on to something. And secondly, Newcastle winning the EFL Cup automatically guarantees them a place in the Europa League next season. Liverpool is guaranteed a Champions League finish. They're certainly going to win the league. So it's a case of who wants it the most. Slots, maybe not under so much pressure. Eddie Howe under some immense level of pressure to at least deliver a trophy for Newcastle.
All right, deliver a trophy for Newcastle. All right, let's quickly move on. I would have loved to get Austin's thoughts on this one, but we have to move on quickly and talk about other things happening. 10, 15 years ago, this might have been a big fixture. A lot of people talking about Arsenal and Chelsea, but unfortunately, both of them not in the running for much. There's also, okay, let me just quickly take a look at the fixtures. Everton up against West Ham, Ipswich Town up against Nottingham Forest, Manchester City up against Brighton. Southampton will take on Wolverhampton Wanderers, Bournemouth will take on Brentford. These matches will be played on Saturday. What about Sunday? Let's see what's going to happen on Sunday. Arsenal will take on Chelsea, Fulham take on Tottenham, Leicester City will take on Manchester United. These are the fixtures for in the English Premier League. Let's see if we can quickly listen to the manager of Manchester City. Now he's giving his players an ultimatum. You must qualify for the UEFA Champions League. Let's listen to Pep Guardiola on the show tonight.
We have to reach the best, highest possible level to qualify for Europe next season, definitely. So we have to be consistent as much as possible. We know that we have 10 games left, 6 at home, 4 away. And at home we have a tough games like Brighton, like will be, of course, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and you know, most of the games are really tough, and we have to do it better, because there are many teams in this target.
All right. I don't know what to say. No person will have been bold enough to predict that there will be a time Pep Guardiola will have to issue an ultimatum to his players to get, not to win the league, but just to qualify for Europe. He's not even talking about the UEFA Champions League, Europe. But some will say he's talking about the UEFA Champions League. I mean, Austin, I don't know what to say, but you really want to feel for Manchester City and most importantly, Pep Guardiola.
I do, and that charge was necessary, I mean, because I think players, they always take the piss because they know we're all going to just come here and talk about tactics, strategies, and put it on managers. And he's looking at them and saying, look at expensive players here and there. Look at top quality players, world stars. And why are we in this situation? It cannot just be coaching, cannot be on the backroom staff alone. These players need to, you know, they have some questions to answer. And that's why he's giving them that charge that, look, you're going to play Brighton, which is a very important game. And it's just 1 point that separates Manchester City and Brighton. And we know Brighton, on their good day, they can hurt any team in the Premier League. That's why Pep is saying what he's saying, because he has watched his team lose games that they shouldn't, drop points that they shouldn't have dropped. And he's saying, look, the least we can do for this club that has given us so much, that takes care of you guys as players and giving you guys the world status that you have, is to go out there and get the job done and qualify for Europe. It's quite sad that we have never heard Pep sound this way, but that's it right there. And I love the tone that he used in talking about it. And that's why when Capello, I think the manager called him arrogant, he laughed over it because he knows what he has been through as a manager. And when you have the likes of Haaland, who is arguably the best striker in the world in terms of finishes and, you know, positioning, you've got Bernardo Silva, you've got all of the top players. Why are they not contesting for the Premier League title? Brighton has also been decent. Let's listen to their manager. There's a bit of pressure, you know, to do well. There's a bit of pressure to play Manchester City and win, but he says they're going to handle it well. Let's listen to him.
First of all, for me, it's not about chasing any records. For me, it's chasing our own behavior, chasing our own limits. And that's what we have to do tomorrow as well against City. Regarding City, for me, it's still one of the best teams in the world, still one of the best manager in the world. And like I said before, for me, it's very important to go there with a big portion of like humbleness, but also with a big belief in ourselves that we can beat every team in the league, and we proved it this season, and that's what we also try to prove tomorrow.
Fabian Osler, Brighton manager, and he has a point. They just need to go out there and see if they can get the upset going, get the conversation going, but also, he knows that Manchester City is a very good team, and of course the odds favor them.
Well, they don't have a choice. Like you said, it's just 1 point separating Man City and Brighton. Newcastle are in between, and they're not playing the league this weekend because of the EFL Cup final. And then you look at the fact that teams like Tottenham Hotspur had gone to the Etihad Stadium to beat Manchester City. Even Manchester United had gone there to beat Man City. So Brighton will feel like, why not? When a good run of form, why can't we go to the Etihad Stadium and get something out for Man City? Right. So if you look at the body language of Pep, it's as simple as saying, you know what? We've pampered you guys enough. Yes, it's a major problem with the team, but you've got to go out and win your next set of games. I can't imagine myself, I would be in a space where Pep Guardiola will be begging his boys to get into the Champions League.
Let me button. Enough said about Pep Guardiola. Arsenal, Chelsea. In a few seconds, try as fast as you can. Who wants it more? Who needs it more?
I think Arsenal. I mean, to just make it as respectable as possible. If they win against Chelsea, it's going to be 12 points adrift of Liverpool, because Liverpool are not playing this weekend as well. For Chelsea, they've had only back-to-back wins once in 2025. And you know the last record against Arsenal. The last time at the Emirates was 5-0, with Ben White even getting 2 goals in that game. So it's a London derby, and it could go either way. But I have a feeling that Arteta could just do enough to get it through. Chelsea have not been playing so well. They struggled to beat a lowly motivated Leicester City. He needed Cucurella to get in and get the goal for them. But Arsenal played a 2-0 against PSV. You probably would think they should be able to get this one, It's a London derby, so it's against Chelsea. The motivation is always different when it comes to the derby, so I think they'll get a result from Chelsea on this one.
All right, you said it on national TV, so we'll see. All right, we're really pressed for time, but Austin can have his stake as we prepare to wrap things up on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very difficult game. I was at Stamford Bridge for the first leg, that ended 1-1. The Gunners had a good approach to that one, but Enzo Maresca and Chelsea, came back with a strategy in the second half, and then they got something out of it. If we're to look on current form right now, you want to give it to Chelsea, because in their last 5 games, it's just 1 loss and 4 wins. For the Gunners, it's just 1 win. I think 3 draws and one loss. So pressure on the Gunners to do something. They need to prove a point, and it's a London derby. It's sort of, clouds that comes with this sort of game, the expectations, the fans, the pressure. Arsenal needs to prove a point, and I think that, for them to keep, to stay in the conversation, stay relevant for this league title chase, then they must beat Chelsea on Sunday. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember to keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, it's a wrap here in Lagos, but before we go, I want to thank Okwemi Akiode for his time on the show today.
Thank you, Yomi. Thank you very much, and have a beautiful weekend.
All right, that's the show today. We hope you enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you. We urge you to enjoy your weekend. You'll see us again next week. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.